Hello, my name is Dave Morera. I'm a staff technical marketing architect for vSphere at VMware. This is an overview of Distributed Services Engine, or vSphere and DPUs, also known as Project Monterey from a few years back. We've been working closely with our OEM and hardware partners like NVIDIA, Dell, AMD, Lenovo, to create a solution for our customers to be able to gain performance for their workloads, consolidate VMs closely within their ESXi host, and add additional features to their environment. Now, we're talking about on-prem environment here. So, Distributed Services Engine, it's new as of ESXi or vSphere 8.0. And what we're doing here is leveraging new hardware technology. So, like I mentioned before, we have DPUs. And DPU stands for Data Processing Unit. Some other companies have different names for them, but they're also known as Data Processing Unit or SmartNICs. So we have what we know are ESXi hosts. So let's pretend we have a lot of hosts, and we have performance NICs. A lot of our customers have that. We have that in our labs, etc. So those NICs are actually allowing us to offload some of the capabilities to the actual NIC. Not much, but it helps a little bit. What we're trying to do is take those data processing units and either replace or add in addition to those ESXi hosts to help us with workload consolidation, energy consumption, as well as security and offload services. So we want to be able to return some of the CPU resources back to that ESXi host, right? So how do we do that? First, let's talk about the DPUs. So the DPUs look like a NIC. So these are connectors. And the difference here is that we have ARM processors. So here, I'm going to draw this. There is an interconnect between a CPU here and a programmable accelerator. So this is the port for the NIC. Right, the difference here is that we have that CPU, we have some storage, we have memory. Right, so now it looks like a mini tiny computer. And what we can do on those CPUs, having storage, having memory, having CPU, it allows us to leverage that and install ESXi on the actual DPU. Again, this is a NIC, a network interface, with additional capabilities, hardware capabilities like that CPU, accelerator, interconnect between the two, high speed, so they can talk to each other faster. And it's going to allow us to install ESXi on that. Now, the benefits of this are that we can actually offload services down to the CPU. So let's take that CPU and plug it into that DPU, and let's plug it into a host. All right, we can keep that NIC for something else, maybe management traffic, etc. But we want the major workload traffic to go through this. So one of the things we talked about for Project Monterey, it's offloading services. One of the services that we started with was the NSX services. So think about how much resources we're utilizing for NSX, right? So by us being able to offload services to the DPU, we're returning resources back to the host. So now our CPU resources are going up on this side, and we're going to consume the CPU on the DPU for the NSX services. So now NSX is going to be running here, and traffic is going to come in here through that port, but now we have more capabilities on this side on the host. So what can we do? Right? We can either take the existing VMs and increase resources, or we can add more VMs, so that consolidation ratio is going to go up. And we can put more VMs in a single host. So think about this in a bigger scale. Right? Then we may not need 40 ESXi hosts to manage our workloads. Maybe we only need 32 or 34. So that's going to give us that consolidation ratio, but also is going to minimize that the utilization of energy consumption and resources. So cost effective as well. So this is phase one, and this is part of the Monterey project that we started talking about before. So Monterey became DSC or vSphere and DPUs, now that is GA on vSphere 8. We started with NSX services on phase one. So phase one, it's done. So in phase two, we want to expand this. And we want to add additional services that we can leverage the CPU, this hardware, for the host, your environment. So vSAN services can be also uploaded in future releases. Right, so that would be phase two. Phase two, we're actively working on this, but this is some of the services that we want to offload to the DPU on top of the NSX services. So now we're going to be able to have more resources on the ESXi host, allowing us to have better consolidation ratio, performance, and one of the things we talked about was security. And this question comes out a lot, right? When we think about security, we think NSX, which is true, right? We can have distributed firewalls. We're seeing substantial increases in performance from that service alone running on DPUs. We have a lot of security features, but we're also having now a separate world, per se, of ESXi. Now we have two ESXi instances where the workloads are running on your host, x86 CPU, services are running on that ARM CPU on the DPU. So now we have that physical separation, isolation between the services, your workloads, etc., adding that additional layer of security to your environment on top of performance, etc. So that is phase two. We're working on that. And phase three, we want to expand it out to bare metal. So think about those servers that are maybe are old, or applications that are really consuming a lot of resources that, well, it doesn't really make sense to virtualize. I get it. But you still want those benefits. The benefits that we provide through NSX or vSAN are great, and I think some customers are missing out on that, and they can't really find a solution for that. So this would be a perfect solution. So let's talk about a bare metal server running Windows or Linux, running an application. It could be an old or new application, just a lot of resources. But we want to be able to leverage that. So let's say once we get to phase three, we have already completed NSX, vSAN, etc. So we have NSX services. We're exposing vSAN services out from the DPU. And now we want to be able to leverage the same environment from bare metal. So we can have a DPU on the bare metal servers and be able to connect all the way to a virtual environment where we can leverage those services. We can leverage that storage, right? So we can leverage vSAN storage from this bare metal server running Windows, even though it's a separate environment, it's physical, it has no virtualization at all, it's not managed by vCenter. But guess what? This DPU does have ESXi. So now it does understand, and it's able to talk to the other ESXi environment, vSphere environment, ESXi host, DPUs, those services. It does understand, and it can communicate and use those services alone. We can take advantage of NSX services, like distributed firewall, and other security components for NSX. So now we can have the same firewall rules for our virtual environment and our bare metal or physical environment on the other side, just by connecting that through the DPUs. Now, this is a long-term solution for Project Monterey. Again, that is the official name is Distributed Services Engine, and right now we're on phase one. We're actively working on this. Customers are seeing a lot of benefits, performance gains, security, and especially consolidation ratio. And some of our customers are very interested in the savings, cost savings, and energy savings as well. So this is our future roadmap for Monterey. distributed services engine. But if you think about this, we're just getting started with DPUs. If we look back at GPUs, they started out as just, hey, I want to run my video games faster. And it worked, it was great, right? And then started getting new use cases for the GPUs. Now we're running AI, machine learning. We're running a lot of workloads that we did not think about early when GPUs came out. So DPUs, I think, is going to follow the same path. And as we go, and as we explore this realm even more, we're going to be able to take advantage of this and join not only DPUs with CPUs, but also GPUs, and bring the three together for a new type of infrastructure for our customers, whether they're on-prem or on the cloud. But we're able to manage and leverage all this advanced hardware to be able to take advantage even more of the virtualization features and innovation from VMware. Thank you.